Welcome again. Happy Mother's Day. So I've been doing a tremendous amount of research. I've been getting a lot of insight since this initiation into the Melchizedek order, since WESAK. And as I'm doing this research, I'm getting more and more additional insight and information as to who this mysterious figure is. I know it's a legendary figure, and my lineage, my teacher, it was highly connected to it. Before it was the IM University, in the 2000, his teaching, and for 20 years early, was called the Melchizedek Light Ashram Academy. And there is a long lineage of people who have claimed to be priests and priestesses of Melchizedek that are connected to that lineage, whatever that may be. And I had to do some background research to kind of figure out who this mysterious figure. From my channeling and my connection to spirit and the understanding that I'm having, I'm perceiving something very specific and very familiar. However, I wanted to confirm by doing outside research and by trying to figure out what else is occurring so that I can begin to understand things in a concrete way. Melchizedek is mentioned a few times in the Bible. Our first time is in Genesis chapter 14, and in which case the chapter is kind of strange because Abraham is involved in this, but first it begins by talking about a bunch of kings. First, there were 4 of them. The name of they were in what kingdom they dominated. And then there was another 5 that dominated their kingdom, and they gathered together under the leadership of somebody else, and they were at war with each other. And this war went on for a while. And then this battle happened there, this battle, and they enumerate all the various regions where the battle happened. And then the chapter goes on to say that a bunch of people that were friends with Abraham, a bunch of these kings, like 3 or 4 of them that were friends with Abraham, were captured by this other king. And Abraham gathered together 328 of his friends, of his people he trained, of his people, and went on a night raid and rescued them. They brought them back. And when they brought them back, Melchizedek, who was the king of Salem, blessed Abraham. Listen carefully now. He blessed Abraham and gave him bread and wine. And then Abraham then gave him, because of the blessing, gave him 1/10 of whatever he had. He tithed to Melchizedek. This is huge because you only tithe to God, to the church. And if he did this, is because he recognized Melchizedek, and because the word, the actual term in Hebrew, Sedek, actually means righteous or just. And he was the king of the just, the king of the righteous. Because he was not only a king, but he was also a high priest. It's very rare because there are 2 separate duties. One is about warfare and defending nation. The other one is about connection, intermediary between man and spirit. He was both. Moreover, it is also mentioned that Melchizedek, and of course, there's a lot of people who knew that Abraham was therefore initiated by him with this blessing. That was the initiation that he received from Melchizedek, and he became a priest of Melchizedek as well. As I said, the chapter is, however, very deep. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to jump around a little bit, but in the end, I'm going to tie it all up together. I didn't read the chapter because some of these Hebrew names, there's so many names in there, I was going to mispronounce them and I was going to drive you crazy and I was going to drive myself crazy. So I didn't read it because of this, okay? But it's Genesis 14. Then it's mentioned again in Hebrews 7, and its relationship in relationship to Jesus, where they're comparing Melchizedek and Jesus as being almost the same person. Remember what Jesus did in the sacrament that he offered at the Last Supper. It was bread and wine. That was a symbolic representation of his body and his blood. This is exactly what Melchizedek did almost 3,000 years earlier. Now, that Melchizedek mentioned in the Bible is still not the true cosmic being. If that being was an historic king that existed around the Holy Land at the time, and he was not a king of the Hebrews, he was, I'm trying to think of the nation, Canaanite, maybe. He was from a neighboring land. He was not a king of the Jews. And so what I'm saying is that whoever that man was, he was a representative or belonged to the lineage of Melchizedek. Because one of the things that happens once you get this initiation and you fully embody the energy, you have the right to change your last name to Melchizedek. Okay? And there are some people who are claiming that kind of spiritual connection, one of which was a bit famous in the Light community would be Drunvalo Melchizedek. Okay? Whether he has the lineage or not, I can't confirm nor deny. I don't know. But I can tell you one of the ways in which you can rightly hold that kind of last name and signature. It's when Melchizedek marks you. Once he marks you and you have his imprint in you, you become a Melchizedek because you're reclaimed and redeemed through him. Okay? Now, during my meditation very recently, I begin to unpack some of the stuff. I've been intuitively guided. And I have to tell you, when I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing I'm listening to the recording, many things happen to me. And one of which, this is why this thing that's 13 minutes is so condensed and so packed with so much information that even when I'm listening to me, I channel it, right? You would think that I would know it. There are parts of it that I start listening to and I'm trying to understand with my linear thinking. What is the channeling saying? What is Melchizedek saying through my voice? And then the next thing you know, it's so intense what he's saying that it's so intense what he's saying that I all of a sudden my brain fries and I literally pop out. Okay? I pop out and I get distracted to think about something else. I can't. In other words, there's so many installation to this initiative. It wasn't one step. There's so many things that are happening. By the time I process the first thing and the third thing and the fourth thing, and then by the time I get to the fifth thing, it's like my body goes like fry. You can't handle all of this. You can't process all of this all at once. Just breathe and move through the end, but you're not going to process the rest. And I don't know if any of you are experiencing this, but I want to share that this has been my experience. Is that It's so packed when you're taking some of the things. He's extracting this and removing this and putting all of this and doing. There's so many things that are happening that are so extraordinary, so unbelievably extraordinary that my body and my own consciousness and my mind at a certain point just cannot follow it all the way through. I get to a certain point where I get stuck in one thing and I'm there and I can't move on. The recording continues to play, but I still remain in that thing, and I'm still trying to go. What just happened? I'm trying to unpack that one section. So, to my mind, something quite extraordinary took place and is still taking place for me. And one of the things that I realized as well through the connections and the readings, that every time in the past I've connected to Melchizedek, and I've gone several times in his golden temple, what I actually see is a gigantic column of fire rotating upward. And it's typically reddish, yellowish flame that's in the center, right? And there's a lot of things I didn't make connection with, but as recently as a few days ago, something clicked. I think it was on Friday. Something major clicked. It was on Friday. Something major clicked for me. I want to read you a passage from Revelation 4. And that passage is about the 24 elders that surround the throne of grace. Because I wanted to understand who is this mysterious Melchizedek. So that I can, if I'm initiated in something, I need to understand what I'm connected to. This is for my mundane mind, I know, but I need to understand it, okay? And this is where the 24 elders are mentioned. After this, I look, and lo, in the heaven, an open door. And the first voice which I had heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up hither, and I will show you what must take place after this." At once I was spirited, and lo, a throne stood in the heaven, with one seated on the throne. And he who sat there appeared like jasper and chameleon. I want to stop here for a second. They're talking here about red jasper and camellia, which is also a red gold colored stone. Keep that in mind. I'm going to get back to you. And around the throne was a rainbow that looked like an emerald. What did he say in the channeling? Did he not say that he's connecting us to the emerald cluster of Melchizedek? I am completely now convinced that Melchizedek, that order of Melchizedek, is the 24 elders. And I've been teaching for years, and I made a separation. I never connected it. I've been teaching for years that the 24 elders, and when I taught you the merger through the training, the ascension training that I've been doing of recent time, the yoga of ascension for neutrality, I've been saying over and over again that the 24 elders, which when you're doing the yoga, you feel all kind of electrical shock moving around your head. These 24 cranial nerves, which are the vestiges of the 24 elders, that these 24 elders in the cosmic realm are actually the God's seed. They create like God. And in whatever medium that they are put, they manifest and create like God. Okay? So there is, I'm putting things together to try to figure out. And I'm going to read further for you because I want you to understand that at the very end of the chapter, when the Melchizedek, the Melchizedek, when he described the 24 elders, who the 24 elders are, and how in the end they were worshiping and praising the Carmelia and red jasper being in the center, because he looked like that. His radiance, for me, this is the central axis, the column of fire that I'm seeing every time I go in there. And I'm going to continue reading. Around the throne were 24 thrones, and seated on the throne were 24 elders, clad in white garment, with golden crown upon their head. What did we just read on the other, what I told you in Genesis 14? There were all of these kings with crown on their head, kings of men who were battling with each other, okay? And from the throne issue flashes of lightning and voices and peals of thunder. And before the throne burned 7 torches of fire, which are the 7 Spirit of God. And before the throne, there is, as it were, a sea of glass like crystals. And around the throne, on each side of the throne, are 4 living creatures, full of eyes in front and behind. And the first living creature, like a lion. The second living creature, like an ox. The third living creature, like the face of a man. And the fourth living creature, like a flying eagle. And the 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, are full of eyes all around and within, and the days and the night never cease to sing, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. And whatever the living creature give glory, honor, and thanks to him who is sitting on the throne, who lives forever and ever. The 24 elders fall down before him who sat on the throne, worshiping him, who lives forever and ever. And they cast their crown before the throne, singing, worthy art thou, Lord and God, to receive glory, honor, and power, for thou didst create all things, and by thy will they existed and were created. They were worshiping and acknowledging that the creation that they are manifested as God's seed is through the throne. Because day and night, all of them are bowing down and acknowledging that everything that they have manifested and created comes through them, through this central being that is seated on the throne. Because it doesn't say that the being is human. John doesn't say in Revelation in that chapter that the being, it doesn't describe the being. He said he was seated on the throne, looked like, what was the word? I'm going to go back to it. And he who sat there appeared like jasper and carmelia. And around the throne was a rainbow that looked like an emerald. Okay? So there is, when I put the channeling together and the insight, I begin to understand a little bit more. Because if any of you took the class, you remember me saying that the 24 elders are God's seed, the same way an apple has a seed, and what that seed can be placed anywhere and grow and become God, and then them working together could be called the collective awareness of all of them together could be called what we are aware of as God. And by the way, interestingly enough, one of the terms in the Kabbalah to describe Melchizedek is the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days. That meaning it existed before time and space, before there was time. And my own personal experience in my healing practice with Melchizedek, what I can say to you is this. I remember doing a healing for a couple, and I was healing the husband, the wife was in the room, and I was doing celestial light healing on him, and I grabbed him by his leg at one point during the healing. I'm standing in front of him, and I'm grabbing him by his leg, and I could see, like between me and him, I see this old man, radiant, with this white beard, radiant, beautiful, long beard, and he's looking at me, smiling. And then in an instant, change, morphed, and then I see this vibrant, beautiful, long, dark hair, handsome man in where he was. He is both. He is as old as before time, the Ancient of Days, but he's also the immortal, the youthful, the effervescent. He is both of them simultaneously. And it's so funny because the wife is highly psychic and intuitive, student of mine. When I was done with the healing, the first thing she said, she looked at me, she said, Lord Melchizedek was here because I saw his light. I felt the energy and I saw the light. I said, you're right. You're absolutely right. And in this instance, I didn't call him because when you're doing celestial light healing, you bring the person to the source and you let source, whatever wants to show up, shows up. And in this instance, that's what he needed. So I wanted to start the conversation and start you thinking a little bit by mentioning some of these things and some of the research I've been doing and where my head has been going, because I'm trying to process and unpack and examine what that means for me. Any questions, any comments?
Well, I just want to mention that when I'm doing the exercise, when I perceive the rod of Melchizedek, is exactly what you're describing. That's what I perceive. Mm-hmm. Exactly what it is. And just a comment, it is so funny that you've been, it's like all the dots, everything is being connected. And for you to be teaching us about the 24 elders for so long,
yep.
and it's all in the same.
Yep. It was right under our nose. It was right there all the time.
The whole time it was right there.
And, yes, I agree.
Yes, and the cranial nerves and everything else, and my God, my mind is blown right now. So I'm just wow.
I agree, Margie. I mean, all of this is really very powerful. And as Pierre was speaking just now, my heart was racing. I mean, anyway, but that meditation is so powerful. I want to get back to that because I always get distracted sometimes, and I said, what? I'm not. I was listening to him, and most of the time I have to listen twice, you know, in one day to get through the whole thing because it's so powerful. But I'm a witness to all of this you're talking about, and I really am blessed that, that you have taught us, and we are now seeing some of the benefits of all of this, and the emerald and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do get that image of fire or whatever that is in the meditation. So it is, and I'm not a biblical scholar, but all of this is relating to, I mean, I was when I was younger, but not now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all connected. I mean, really, I mean, we are just blessed. All I have to say, and I'm very grateful that Lord Melchizedek has chosen to put his rod of power in us.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very, very sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm healing so much faster. Everything is just like, wow. As Esther say, I'm on steroids. So
Yeah.
healing.
I love that.
Anyway.
I know exactly what you mean, Bobby, because I don't know where my energy is coming from these days. I'm telling you.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you both. I just want to pick up on something that Bobby said. This is what I was trying to explain before when you were saying, I'm glad you're saying that you get distracted. There's a point that my brain shut down when I'm listening to the recording. It's 13 minutes. I keep scolding myself. I'm like, it's 13 minutes, Pierre. Why are you paying attention? You're not paying attention enough. It's not attention. At some point, because you have to understand what he's doing. Through that channeling, every word is a decree, and is installing things and is removing things. When he says he removed from you all fear, the fears are leaving.
Yes.
And when they are leaving, what happened to me after I listened to it, I have to take a nap.
Oh, that's interesting here. Yeah. No. For me to even listen to it, I have to lie down. And then I find that I'm following it. And then at some point in there, it's like, I don't know where I am. I'm not in, I mean, I'm just, it's like space. It's nothing. And I'm not even, I guess I'm aware of it at some level. But always at the end, I'm right there listening, so it seems like, there's this kind of open space there while I'm listening that I don't know what I'm listening to, but I'm still listening, I guess, on some level. But then always just almost at the end, I am right there, quite alert and listening to the end of the channeling.
Right.
Does anybody have experiences that you've seen things flying out of your body?
Wow, that's wonderful.
Anybody that?
I feel it. I don't see it, but I do feel things leaving. Yeah. I feel that things are rearranging
Yes,
in my body that tires me out. That really, sometimes I just feel like I need to just kind of lie down. Most of the time I don't. I just drink water. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I agree.
That's what I'm. This is what I'm perceiving. It's like what is not of, it's coming off, and what is being replaced. This is what I. That's what's going. I mean, that's what I'm getting. I don't know, but anyway, I thought I mentioned that because I've been experiencing that, and although I don't experience it anymore, but the first 2 days I was doing it, I was experiencing that. So
Yep. Yeah.
yeah,
That's good.
all right.
All good.
Thank you.
Anybody
I
else?
would just add and agree with what was said in terms of just feeling wiped out, and I almost feel like I'm thinking, wow, what part of me, was any part of me going to be able to stay? I almost feel like I'm just a vapor, almost in a fog, and very tired. I have to lay down, and I trust, that I there's something in me that knows there's a lot being released, but also reconfigured, and it all feels. I mean, I can feel very disoriented a lot of the day, but I trust somewhere in there it doesn't leave me. The faith that I'm being rewired, and the way my soul is working with Melchizedek, perhaps, because it's rather new to me. I'm usually kind of not a napper, or can kind of power through things. I think that's the very point. I think the very point is things that I thought were assets, maybe they have to go too, like powering through something, as opposed to completely surrendering. And today I've barely been out of bed. I would get up, eat, think I'm going to be okay, and then I'm like, literally getting back into bed. So for me, that's also a big deal, to get in the bed during the day. And I've been finding my way into that bed. So I agree with the wipeout, but I don't have it while I listen. I can hear everything, but afterwards, I feel this kind of void. And then this kind of tiredness that goes on, but it's a disorienting tiredness too. So I just keep offering, like, well, if everything's got to go, I don't know who's holding me together. I swear I'll be walking my dog and I forget that I have a dog on a leash, and somebody walks up and starts raving and going crazy about my dog, and I have to like jump and see, oh, there's a leash with a dog on it that's mine.
Yep.
That disorienting at times.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing your experience. And for me, a couple of things I want to mention. The first thing is that Melchizedek, as a righteous king or righteous priest king, is very different than Aaron, who was the brother of Moses, and the priesthood that he founded, because a lot of these priests were corrupt, the Kohan that he created. A lot of them were corrupt. And they were human priests with human failings. He, on the other hand, is righteous. So I want to mention the difference between the two. And the other thing you need to understand, giving everything that we're saying now in terms of unpacking this, for me, it's kind of like the first few days I could listen to it, but now it's like my brain cannot process the whole thing all at once. It's like I get 3/4 of the way, all of a sudden there's a shutdown. It's like the software saying too much data, and it claps and just shut down. And I'm like, I get distracted. I'm like, what happened? Why am I not paying attention? There's so many things that are happening that are getting taken out, removed, put back in, that my body cannot process all of it at once. Or it doesn't seem so. And like you, I found that later on in the afternoon, if I have the time, I have to listen to it again, because I want to make sure that I get the full benefit. Okay? And as such, when I listen to it the second time, what actually happened is that I've been having these incredible dreams where, in one instance, it was a dream where the whole night I was singing mantras with all of these other people that I didn't know. It was endless. All these mantras that I don't know, and the whole night it was, and I slept like I went into this I've never slept like this. It just, I went so deep. And it was these mantras over and over again that I kept on saying this mantra with all of these people I don't even know. Part, and I'm sure I went in a plane of the Golden Temple, and we were singing there, and so I'm discovering a whole bunch of stuff and benefit. And the one benefit that's actually happening on Earth right now, if you're trying to hide, this is the wrong place for you to hide. Because with this golden rod inside of you, you're gonna shine and everyone and everything will see you. You will become a nexus point, an attractor. All kinds of opportunities will present themselves to you, all kinds of incredible coincidences. People will run to you. You're going to be a catalyst for change, like he said, a major attractor. And I've noticed this in my life right now. Everyone is seeing me. I love living in New York because I can be invisible. I have this thing about invisibility that I love it. I love to be anonymous, and I can walk around. No one knows who I am, and I can be a fly on the wall and walk and observe and, that kind of thing. But with this, you become the thing that everyone is looking at. And in a positive way, because your radiance, and you don't know what you're doing, but your radiance becomes what attracts them, because you're now the light and the sun. Because you're carrying in you the God seed of the 24 elders, you're carrying inside of you the rod of Melchizedek, which is that very being sitting in the middle of the throne, whose radiance is like jasper and camellia. Any other comments or statement that you guys want to share, your insights?
There's one insight that I wanted to share when you're talking about the rod, that you become the rod. Like I told you the other day, when I do the Melchizedek in the morning, I do it facing the sun. And for the past 2 days, what I've been seeing in the sun, it's like the sun by itself becomes the rod.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It becomes the rod, and it's radiating all this color, that yellow, golden, almost like a lime green color. The emerald, it's radiating it. The gold color, the fire, the everything, and everything is like, when you're looking at the sun, like the sun itself become the head of the star, and this reddish color is beaming directly to the earth. I don't know, it's just
this is what you're perceiving. Someone sitting next to you that didn't take the initiation will not see this. I can guarantee you.
Yeah, that's my perception. Yes. Okay.
This is what you're experiencing, but someone else would not experience that.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Well, last night I really did listening to the tape.
Yep.
Just before I went to bed.
Yep.
And I slept so sound and deep. And I got up this morning, and it was time to get up. It was day. But then it was like I was spacey, and there's something say it's time to go to bed. And I went back to get it, and I'm saying, wait a minute, I just got out of the bed. And then I said, well, drink some water, and I drank water. But, it was like I just got out of the bed. I slept very deep and sound. And then something said, well, just go back to bed. But I did not.
You know what? Let me explain to you. That's a great segue. Let me explain to you what's happening in your body. Because of what Lord Melchizedek is doing and the rod that is planting in every cell, cellularly, when the cells are replicating and being replaced, because they die, the old cells die, and new cells are being brought back online. The new cell will have different relationships. They will hold, instead of holding survival and fear, they will hold hope, abundance, flow, freedom, liberation, and transparency. They will hold all of these things that he installed. So for that to happen to 50 trillion cells, while you're still walking and functioning, is highly unlikely. You need to take a nap to allow it to happen. You need to rest. You need to lay down to allow for the process that's happening internally. So when you feel like laying down, lay down again. And for the past few days, I did exactly that. I went back and lay down again. Like you, Janine, once I make my bed, it looks so beautiful, I want to touch it, okay? and for me to go back to bed is a big deal, because I don't want to ruffle anything, because it took so long to put everything under, to do the hospital corner, to do all the things that I need to do to make it look good. I don't want to mess it up for anything. And for me to go back into that bed, that's a big deal. That's
right. I made mine and unmade it. I made it, and then an hour later, I thought, "Oh Lord, I'm gonna have to unmake it. I gotta get in." Oh, same thing.
Yep. And again, core benefit for me is that every time I go to these naps and I sleep, I wake up feeling lighter. I wake up feeling less burdened. I wake up feeling like I let go of all of these things. I don't know what they are consciously, but energetically, I can feel lighter. I feel like there's a dramatic difference from before I went to sleep and when I wake up now. So I know things are being peeled off on me, and I know they're being taken away. And I'm very grateful to Lord Melchizedek for what he's doing for us. And I just don't have the, and I don't think I need to know, because, if he's removing the epigenetic memory that has existed for all human beings for millions and millions of years, for 31 million years, none of us need to know how deep and how far these things were anchored. Okay, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. All I want to know is that I am existing in that freedom, that liberation, that flow. That's what I need to know, because I can feel it energetically every time. I it's just like every other day I'm being very aware that everything is getting lighter and better. Like one of the people who attended, my friend Georgie said, "Pierre, I don't want to say," he's the one that's the Buddhist, said, "I don't want to say that I'm at peace, because for them peace is such a big deal." He said, "But I can tell you, since that initiation, I don't have any more fears. I have no fears." And that's huge. That's immense, particularly in today's where everything is generating fear. Every news clip, everything is about another disaster happening somewhere around the world, whether it's socially, politically, whether it is health-wise, whether it is, look at what's happening in India right now with COVID, how bad the situation is. I have people that are in India right now that are in the blunt of this. It's profoundly serious for all of the denial that there is no virus. It's a different experience. Okay. And so what I'm saying is that there comes a point where you're in that state of being and awareness, you begin to realize that there is something else there that's providing me with a kind of support, and I'm very grateful for that. That I was unexpected. It's like all of a sudden you realize there was a hand there that was holding you, and you didn't even know you were being held or you were being propped up. Okay? And not only that, through the experience of the initiation, the class is being graded on a curve. It's being graded because it's the easy button. But is it the easy button? Because if you were not worthy, you would not have gotten the initiation. I was talking to students of mine who were, their camera was on at WESAK, but they came in at the very last minute because they had family gathering. They had in-laws that were visiting, and they had family gathering, and they came in for the last 2 hours of the WESAK, and they benefited deeply and profoundly from the WESAK. And I was just sharing with them, I'm like, if you were not worthy, you would not have participated in it, because I had 2 other students who were in the early part of the WESAK who clicked off right before it happened because they were not ready for it. So if you had not done the work, and that touched them very profoundly and deeply, and they started crying. And what I'm saying is that you have to understand that your preparedness, Lord Melchizedek looked at collectively at all of us who were taking part of this, and he knew this was the time and the moment for him to do this. As I said, his name in the Kabbalah is the Ancient of Days. He's simultaneously old man with long beard going all the way down to almost down down his leg, and he simultaneously can turn in a flash into this vibrant, beautiful, handsome young man. And I saw him with dark hair. I mean, handsome, like gloriously beautiful, like too beautiful to be human. So we have to be very aware of this and understand that whatever process that we're going through, I was saying that I'm going to listen to this for the next 21 days. I'm going into 40 days or more. How long it takes for me to assimilate and process this correctly, because I don't think 40 days is going to be sufficient. Right?
I was just going to say, it's so funny. I was going to, when you pause, say 21 days to me is like, that's just the melt time. I don't know. I feel like I'm just getting melted and everything's taken away. I feel like I need at least 21 more days for reconfiguration.
Yep. And
the other thing I wanted to bring up or ask, I mean, I know the answer, I guess, but there's been moments where I think, well, I can bear, doing this work with the Melchizedek and now the morphogenic listening, by the way, that was profound. I did it before I went to bed. Now I have been in bed all day, but I did feel there were the presence of others and help. But I just can't do like the morphogenic, like the monad and the virtues and all that. Like those, they feel a long way away. I know they'll come back. I know they have a place.
Yep.
But the thought of doing anything other than this work, I just can't. I don't know. It's that we should follow our heart, right?
Yep. Okay. Great point. And thank you for bringing the morphogenic listening, which is my next piece. So I had a conversation with Janine this week about this, and it's my mistake for not having emphasized this correctly. And we're going to do it tonight the right way. But it's my mistake for not having explained this the right way. Every time, the secret sauce to this entire ascension mechanic of neutrality I'm trying to teach you is the morphogenic listening. This is the way I was able to connect to Melchizedek, to get you the yoga, the merger, the torsion field, the virtue, all of it came from one place. And every time I'm doing meditation, the first thing I said, drop your head in the middle of your heart. That's my code in my head because I've done it for so long and so much, and it's almost like breathing to me, that all I have to do is let my awareness drop into there, and I'm there, like in an instant. And it was not until March last year when I started teaching that class that suddenly my guide said to me, no, Pierre, they are not understanding what you're saying. You need to describe and explain everything. They're not getting it. It's the most important part. And I have to say the mistake I made, and you learn by experience, right? In hindsight, we all have 2020. The first class that I thought, the class that Janine was in, I didn't emphasize it enough. I mentioned it, but I didn't emphasize it enough. And I want to go back and make the correction and make it right, which is to say this. It is the most important thing. And if you can do this, you will get every secret in the world. Okay? And it is about letting your heart and your mind connect to each other. And when you let that awareness drop and your mind drop into that part of yourself, you become very aware. I'm already there. You become very aware that what you're trying to focus on, what you're trying to get to, and the awareness that you're trying to seek to get into a higher dimension and a higher density cannot be gathered by your five senses. So your five senses have to step aside. What you see, what you smell, what you touch, all of that has to step aside. Okay? And part of it is because the way we process the brain and the neural net in our brain process information. I remember we were talking about this maybe last week, and Melton mentioned the story I had shared, which was the shaman that was at the edge of not shaman, the indigenous First Nation shaman that saw, that at first didn't see the caravella. All he saw was water, a disturbance in the water. And he couldn't see the caravella for 2 days. And on the third day, by staring and observing, all of a sudden the caravella showed up. And at that point, he said, oh, there's a giant boat there. The moment he said it, his people saw it. What I'm trying to point out is this. When you're in that state of awareness, you're doing the torsion field or the merger or the morphogenic listening or the Melchizedek meditation, what you're doing is that when you go into that awareness, you are not using any of your five senses. You remain in a state of complete surrender. And I use the term sometime in there, I said, listen as if every cell in your body had ears. The 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. It's a code term because I don't know any other way to say it. It's not listen. It's actually pay attention for whatever is emerging from the unknown reality that you have not seen yet. In other words, you are now going to pay attention to what you're not seeing because you're lying to yourself. The way the human brain operates is that it matches pattern. So if we are used like the shaman that was on the edge of that water, if we're used to seeing a boat of certain size, we only will see it in the size. If it's bigger, we will erase it. We will not see it. So many of the students who are going through this practice are always saying, I don't see anything, I don't perceive. And I had to tell them very recently, the people who are going through it right now, I said to them, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You're perceiving something, but it's so out of the box that your brain is erasing it. What I mean to say is that when I get into that state of surrender, what happened is that it's as if I'm looking into a fog. I'm using visual analogy, but it's more energetic. As if I'm looking into a fog, and the fog has a presence in it. But the presence is not defined. It doesn't have a silhouette. It's some unknown thing that's in the fog. And it's that emerge because it exists in a higher density. It's that emerging awareness that exists in that higher density. It's that energy that's completely precipitating and slowly congealing and rendering and manifesting. And it will take several go around for the precipitation to become solid in a way that can allow your brain to see it. The same way that shaman, it took him 3 days to see it. We're all masters of self-deceit, and our brain is wired to match existing pattern. And anything that doesn't exist, half of our perception is literally we match to what we know. Everything else that's outside of it, we erase. We don't see it. It doesn't exist. So Lord Melchizedek, all of the higher masters are always around us, trying to influence, trying to manifest, and we are saying all the time it doesn't exist, because we are not paying attention, focusing on. So it's a weird state to be in, because it's not through the cerebral cortex. It's not a agitation or a kind of focus, but it's a surrender, and at the same time, it kind of like I am open to the possibility of perceiving whatever may exist in that fog. And whatever may exist begin to show up. There is a presence of some kind. And the interesting thing, if you're doing the merger, to use an example, if you're doing the mind merger, for example, as you're doing this, what happened is that you will realize, if you have that awareness that there's something in the fog, there's a presence of some kind that exists at 12 o'clock. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what exactly the energy is, but there's definitely something there. And whatever that something is, that's what I need to listen to. And I mean by that, perceive and get to know and pay attention to and focus on, right? And then, of course, I'm going to move to 1 o'clock, to 2 o'clock. When you move to the other hands, the energy signature that you felt energetically at 12 o'clock is not the same as the one at 3 o'clock. It's not the same with the one at 5 o'clock. They each have a different feel and connection to it. It's energetic, it's a sensation, it's a perception, and it's also precipitating and emerging slowly and coming slowly until an entire silhouette and outline show up until the full revealed. And if you don't allow your consciousness to assimilate it, to be open to the possibility. And every meditation that I do, every morning, that's the first thing I do. Every morning. I do this before I listen to the Melchizedek meditation. And I go into that state of surrender, and all of a sudden I'm paying attention to whatever may exist. I am open to the possibility and the attention that may exist in there. And we are all masters of self-deceit. And I say this to myself, I am lying to myself. Something is out there. I'm not seeing it, but something is out there. Show me what I'm lying to myself about. You do this enough time, it will show up. And you will see it. It will show up first as a signature, a frequency, a vibration, and unknown, and the unknown will become known, and slowly it will precipitate out. And all of a sudden, your consciousness is going to be open. You're going to go, oh my God, how come I didn't see it? It's the same with the Dantian process when we did it, except the Dantian was about our own suppressed and repressed power issues. This one is about the expansion of our own consciousness and the awareness of the higher orders. But if you do this, even when I do the Dantian, I go in that same awareness. Internally, externally, it's literally the secret sauce for everything. Nothing is more fundamental to this practice than this. The more you go into that state of surrender, the more you allow yourself to be in a place where you are attentive to whatever may exist out there that you're not seeing. Because what's the point of matching existing pattern? We know what's already existing out there. And it's the reason why you're in this ascension path is because you want to elevate. So for you to elevate, you have to focus on something else, and that something else is not of this dimension. And if you're using the existing tool of this dimension to try to get it, you're not going to get there. And it's not the way we're seeing, feeling. You have to be open to something that you haven't experienced yet that is emerging from that fog. It's something that is yet to be known and understood. And for you to do this, it requires some cojones. You have to be brave. You have to have courage to go into a space where you can acknowledge this and you can say to yourself, whatever shows up, I am going to find a way to acclimate myself to this, because it's going to cause change in me. It's going to cause adjustments. It's going to cause growth. It's going to cause all kind of thing in me that will cause a metamorphosis or change in me. And if you do any of the exercises to, with this in mind, it's going to take you to a different place. You cannot fail. I mean, so many, I'll give you an example. This is a neurological research that has been done. There's a man who was a doctor who lost his eyesight, physically blind. And this is to show you how powerful the brain is. They wired his brain, and they begin to show, although he's physically blind, pictures to him. Happy pictures, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. His brain began to fire up to the happy part of the brain that lights up. Okay? Then they showed him very fearful photographs, like Auschwitz, things that are very terrifying. His brain began to show fear. What I'm saying is that the senses I'm trying to engage here goes beyond our five senses and beyond sight, as stated in this example. This is a famous neurological experiment that was done. That this man, although physically blind, was able to respond, at least his brain. He personally did not see it, but his brain knew, and his brain got fired up. So your brain is perceiving a whole slew of other stuff that's not allowed to be processed through the lens and the focus of your 3D consciousness. And what we need to do is expand that lens so that the consciousness can begin to perceive more and more and more. And you can accept the higher densities and accept the perception that are hidden in plain sight. They're all right in front of you, but you never saw them. Every time I got an insight when I was doing the Dentien about myself and the lies that I've been telling myself in my spiritual psychology, every time I got one of those, I'm like, it was right in front of me. It was there for years. How come I didn't see this? It's the exact same thing. Something is going to render and it's going to precipitate and it's going to show up. First, it will be very foggy. It will be just a sensation that something is there. There's something in that fog. I don't know exactly what it is. And most of us will dismiss it. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. No, something is happening and it is a process. And if you stick with it, it's going to precipitate out. And that's the mentality that we have to allow more and more of that stuff to begin to show up and begin to become more mature, to begin to, and really, if you're all doing this as a group body, we're going to evolve so quickly. We're going to really leap forward. Any questions, any comments?
I have a comment here.
Yes.
I noticed one of the meditations. I don't remember which one right now. I think it was the one with the vest, perhaps. But anyway, there was a comment. There was instructions when we started the meditation to drop your awareness into the upper heart.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like a light bulb moment for me, because when I was thinking about my heart space, I wasn't thinking of my upper heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just noticed when you were showing and touching yourself, like you were showing that you're dropping into your heart space, I noticed that you touched with your hands your upper heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been practicing specifically the upper heart part since, and I found it very powerful.
Mm.
So I don't know if this is helpful, but that was my observation.
Mm. Great. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you. Anybody else?
Pierre, I was resting when you called to tell me you were having class, because I've been resting, kind of off and on myself, and I just want to bear witness with everyone else. Yes, that is exactly what is happening with all of us, and the only thing I can say to everyone, and talking to myself, is to be kind and gentle with yourself. Because when I was reading, up on all these things before the WESAK had started, because I didn't know I was going to share any of that with you, but in talking to Pierre, and I said I had been reading it, and such a deep and profound love and respect that, came, into me that I could hardly hold that that feeling of gratefulness. I never felt that full before. And as I was trying to share with you all, I couldn't read all of the things that I had collected. And I heard the impression, well, that's enough. You've given them enough. They have to experience this for themselves. They have to experience this for themselves. And there was such a light. I don't know where, and I said I don't know where all that light was coming from, but I couldn't read the pages that I had before me. I couldn't, because I was still so just very, very filled up. And all I could think of is, the gratitude and the love that I was feeling. And that's where that song, came from. And so all I can say, to you is to be kind and gentle, with yourself. Genetic repair is going on. That was some of the information that I was able to share with you a little bit, because you said a genetic repair is going on in all of us and in all humanity. This genetic repair is going on. So whether they know it or don't know it, it's still going on. So people are probably experiencing things that they never felt before. They just don't know what it is that is happening, because the repair that's happening to us is happening, to all humanity. So the only thing I can say, when you called, I was already resting, and I started not to call back in, but I said, okay, let me just try and pull myself together and just listen. So I'm not gonna say an awful lot, because I don't know how to express all the things that I'm feeling within myself. I can't express them. It's almost like if you were in a cocoon, and I have to wrap myself up, in a warm and fuzzy blanket, and just lie down and just allow whatever is going on to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Celia. Thank you. That's exactly, you summarized the feelings succinctly and perfectly. Yep. This idea of being in a cocoon is exactly the sensation that you're being encased into something, and you're going through metamorphosis of some kind.
That was beautiful. I actually feel like, how the caterpillar has to, and it resists. I've really used metamorphosis as a basis for the work I do and studied it. They actually have imaginal cells are living in the caterpillar. They're literally scientifically called imaginal cells, and they slowly take over. And that's why a caterpillar will surrender to go into the cocoon, but really they don't want to. And they move around and fight and struggle. And that's what dissolves them. And they liquefy, as we know, right? And then in that liquid state is when they become all imaginal cells, which then become butterfly cells, which are quite beautiful. And I feel this kind of fighting a little bit. In the cocoon, you're trying to go through life, you're trying to do something, eat, make up your bed, do something, but really you just are melting. So that's such a beautiful reminder. I feel like, I'm mostly in the liquid state, but the reminder that in that are the imaginal cells that we're carrying in us, each one of us uniquely, that through this orientation, through this initiation, and they will be they'll be charged. We got charged to go into the cocoon so we could become butterflies, and these imaginal cells in each one of us uniquely can expand. So that was a true gift. So thank you, Solidia. It's kind of like, and you have to be kind. I do agree with that, because I'm hard on myself sometimes, thinking, why can't you get something done today, And instead, appreciating our liquid state.
Mhm.
And I feel like the cocoon part ties back to the morphogenic listening in an amazing way. That's what I felt last night.
Mm.
I think I mentioned this earlier when I spoke, that I do feel like completely evaporated. Now I'll say liquid. And I feel I'm receiving a grace and a gift every day. I don't know what's holding me together for me to go about my life. I swear, I feel I'm so liquid and so undefined. And last night, I felt I had to get into bed and have, get my linen sheets around me. And I started the morphogenic listening. And in that, going deep with this, something's trying to emerge. I also felt you enter you're being the first level of emergence I felt, funny, I didn't say cocoon, but I thought I was being enveloped in a womb.
Mm.
I thought I was being held, so that whatever is trying to emerge can be. I don't need to worry about supporting myself. I can melt, and everything else can go away except waiting for trying to feel and see and perceive what's emerging, or what I guess, like in metaphorically, imaginal cells are trying to shape. There's some deep support that comes when you enter the heart space, that you don't have to support yourself, so you can just be so free to sit there in nothingness.
I love what you're saying, Janine. This, I think, is the key. Thank you for sharing this. This is the key.
So Lydia's triggered it. Yes.
No. But here's the thing. When you go into that morphogenic listening, the way you can open up to what's out there that's precipitating for that other dimension is to realize that you don't know. That's the key. It's to actually go in such a state of surrender and realize I'm lying to myself about everything. I don't know anything. And the truth is out there. Show me that truth.
And there's like a womb of support.
Yeah.
Because you have to be in complete surrender to get that level of nothingness to let something render in front of you, right?
Yep.
So I could feel I was still trying to, let's say, take care of myself in the morphogenic, meaning I'm still trying to sit upright. I'm still trying to breathe, like I'm still too much in the doer.
Yeah.
But last night, what I saw was just surrender, because we got you. You're in a container, and we just want to make it as easy as possible for you to observe what's emergent, this emergence, to become the emergence. Anyway, beautiful.
Thank you. Have any of you felt things in your brain, things moving, shifting? Because you have, okay. Because I've been feeling that as well. That things are, it's very hard to describe. It's not like what I felt before when we were doing the monadic merger. But here's the thing, going back to what Janine was saying before about the other practices. The monadic merger is a connection to the 24 elders of the throne of grace, and therefore to the emerald cloister of Melchizedek. They are not so separated from each other. Focus on this now, because that's what you got. That's the initiation. It will all come back together and merge again.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I do think go ahead, Bia. I'm sorry.
No. I'm letting you go. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do feel that in the brain, things, particularly when you're doing the morphogenic merger, and it reminds me of, they say, come as a child. You have to be open, and you see things differently. I'm seeing things quite differently because I am allowing the as other people have said, to the just being open to the possibilities of these things, because I'm coming as if I don't know. And honestly, when I do that monad and that, I feel this stuff moving around in my brain, and in different points and different times, it's at a different place. So I just wanted to say I have had that experience. I'm having that experience. I'll put it that way.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Well, I had heaviness around my eyes, or it was a very strange feeling in my head and my eyes, but it's clearing up now. It was just very strange.
How is your vision?
Actually, the vision is clearing up, but it's not consistent. It's,
Yes.
it moves around.
Yes, yes. I'm having that same experience too. Yeah. Peaks and valleys. Yeah. I have that same experience as well. There are times it's perfect, it's getting perfect, and then it goes up, down, and it comes back again. And again, it's the transformation and being in the cocoon. It's that state where we're fighting, and the deeper we surrender, the more nap that we take. All right, let's take a 5-minute break. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I just want to say quickly that I felt the urge to do the merger, not every day, but every other day, and just putting the virtues on hold for a moment. But I did feel like I wanted to do something with the merger, which you kind of said that's almost like one and the same.
Yep.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Allow your mind and your heart to sync with each other. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your entire consciousness be generated from your heart. As if your eyes were in your upper chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Realized that you can now perceive 360 degrees. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. and become aware of any sensations, perceptions, awareness, and knowing. That may exist in that 360 degrees morphogenic field. Take a very deep breath and realize that there exists an infinite array of perceptions, feelings, sensations, and information that exists in that field. What am I not seeing? What am I not perceiving? Listen as if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. What kinds of knowing, insights, and breakthroughs that this unknown dimensional fog is trying to precipitate, communicate, and congeal for you. Show me the energetic signature of the presence that exists in this morphogenic length and merger. Demonstrate to me the universal truth and the cosmic knowing that exists in that emerging space. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. May the peace, the serenity, and the ascension that I know pass on to everyone in my circle of influence. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes. Let me just add quickly here that by doing this exercise, morphogenic listening every day, you're automatically neutral. And if you do this, because I've done this for so long, I go in it very quickly. But if you do this, you don't need, and you do the torsion field on top of it, then you have a perfect torsion field. Every other species that is not warring and battling in the universe exists in their heart space. And they are in this morphogenic awareness. And there is a link that is vast and immense and cross-dimensional and multi-dimensional that links all of us together that are in that heart coherence. And when you're in that space, you participate in this immense network that is infinity times infinity. You get plugged in. Any questions, any comments before we break off?
Grateful to you, Pierre. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome. You're welcome all. You're welcome. You're welcome. Blessings to all of you. I won't keep you anymore. We're almost out of time. But if you add this to your practice, it's going to make a world of difference. And do it with the consciousness of whatever I don't know. You're not trying to figure this out with your ordinary senses. You're going completely open to whatever exists in that emergence.
Pierre, maybe if you have a moment, you could send us recording of the meditation.
Tomorrow, okay?
Yeah, no, it's not whenever.
Okay. All right. Good night, everyone.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Love
night.
you.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Deep
Good night,
love.
Janine.
Thank you. Bye.